Peace, guys. The Abundant Capitalist here, helping you make as much money as possible in the crypto market. I want to go over some information that I gathered yesterday watching a video and breaking down a lot of things that I've just had floating in my mind, connecting random dots. And this is going to explain exactly why I am in cryptocurrency and why you should really be into this seriously. So I'm going to jump right into it, okay? The world runs on energy, right? In particular, at this point in time, oil, okay? And there's this thing called M1 you may have heard of, right? M1 is the US currency supply that is physically in banks, right? The US currently holds the world currency. It is used in trade between countries. The dollar is no longer backed by gold, and I'm going to come back and loop to this as to why this has caused so much trouble. So I'm going to break it down. Let's start off by saying that we used to be able to exchange our dollar bills, USD, for gold bullion. The money that we held in cash was only valuable because we could walk into a bank and redeem that certificate for physical gold bullion, which in 1933 was changed by FDR, and it built up into World War II because of that fact. In the 70s, Nixon decoupled United States currency from the gold standard completely. So not only could you not redeem your money in the bank for some gold, but now gold does not back your dollars. Why is this a problem? Because we went from real money to no more real money, the US dollar being backed by gold to the US dollar being backed by nothing. Essentially, trusting in the US government. And so when you understand this, and that 43% of the total money supply has been created last year, you see that we're in trouble. The big question is, why would countries want to trade in US dollars if the US dollar is no longer real money, right? And these countries, believe me, that they ask themselves this. And so we get into Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Venezuela, Syria. What do all of these countries have in common? You may have heard of the reserve currency. Okay, the reserve currency is the currency that's held by banks for international transactions. And at this moment in time, the United States dollar is the reserve currency. And I'm going to show you why this is not being done willingly by most countries, but they have been forced into using United States dollar because, once again, I'll repeat, the United States dollar is not real money. And it may sound wild to you because you're living your everyday life being told only what is in the convenience of the people who are in power to tell you, and you have much bigger things to worry about than a whole bunch of talk about other countries and history, and you need to think about paying your bills. But take a moment here and understand, because this is all affecting everybody's life right now. Saudi Arabia in the 1970s controlled OPEC, which is the Organization of Petrol Exporting Countries. They were in control. They could do whatever they wanted. They wanted to kick up prices. They wanted to sell to who they wanted to sell. The U.S. says, you better stop or else. And what we're going to do is we're going to protect you and keep you dictators in power. Picture that. A supposedly republic run on what is spoken as democracy, protecting dictators, right? But this is what they told them. If you do what we say and you sell oil only in US dollars, we will give you this protection. Just do what we say. Saudi Arabia obviously agreed. And the US was able to continue being the reserve currency of the world. The problem is that there were countries such as Iraq who would also accept euros in the 90s. Now, Iraq, the funny thing is that in the 60s, Iraq had a democracy. Saddam Hussein was actually placed into Iraq with help of the United States. But I digress. So, the United States has a problem with Iraq selling oil in euros. And that's a problem because you are decoupling from this structure that the US has conveniently put in place. So for some time, Iraq was a puppet until it wasn't. And as soon as it said, we want to trade our oil for something other than the US dollar, lo and behold, there was an invasion of Iraq. Iran did the same thing, and there were embargoes. And Venezuela, having oil, wanted to accept something other than the US dollar, embargoes. Libya, who at one point had the highest standard living in Africa at one point, gets bombed and crushed by NATO. Destroyed, completely destroyed. It's pretty much just a slave trade over there now. Syria, which now, if you listen to the news, we're having trouble with at this moment, was occupied by the Trump administration. And now you see what's happening with Biden and Syria. 20 years ago, 90% of the trade was done in the United States dollar. Now it's about 80%, right? And, Russia and China, they're not playing this game. They're not doing trade in US dollars. So I say that all to say that this system that we are currently under, and how you see the US dollar pumping more and more money, obviously it's less and less appealing for another country, international, to do business using the US dollar, which is losing value as it's printing more and more. But yet it's in the United States' convenience to keep countries. And so they are forced to push people into doing something, making a deal that they don't want to make. Because they could offer them a better deal. But what happens if they refuse? And we have 50% of our discretionary spending being used on military. The future is pretty much being enslaved via debt. And the solution is to decouple ourselves from this corrupt and broken system, to diversify our assets, to educate ourselves, to create different streams of income, to use decentralized finance, DeFi, which cryptocurrency, blockchain space is making available to all, to invest in crypto, to invest in precious metals. So I just want to give you a background of why it is that we're doing what we're doing and why it is that things are happening as they are happening. Because a lot of you don't have time to learn about this on your own. So I'm presenting it to you. Peace.